A tragic accident put an abrupt end to his father's career and turned his whole life upside down. Now, nearly 3 decades later, his son is stepping forward with a jaw-dropping secret about what really happened on that fateful day. Is there more to the story than anyone could have ever guessed? Stick around to uncover the truth. No one ever imagined that Christopher Reeve, famous for doing his own daring stunts, would one day find himself confined to a wheelchair. His love for acting sparked at the young age of 9, driving him to pursue studies at Cornell University and later at the prestigious Juilliard School. By 1976, he had made his debut on Broadway, but it was his unforgettable role as Superman in 1978 that shot him to international fame. Reeve went on to reprise the role in 3 sequels, cementing himself as the face of the iconic superhero. His portrayal of Superman earned him the BAFTA Award for Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles. Reflecting on the experience, Reeve described it as the closest opportunity I've had to play a classical role on film, the closest expression to something of mythical dimension. His rise to fame not only made him a Hollywood star, but also gave him a platform to make a difference. Reeve became deeply involved in philanthropy, using his celebrity to champion important causes. He collaborated with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, brightening the lives of terminally ill children, and served on the board of Save the Children. In 1979, he even joined O.J. Simpson coach track and field at the Special Olympics, showing his dedication to giving back in any way he could. Christopher Reeve's incredible career and fame couldn't shield him from tragedy. In 1995, a devastating horse riding accident left him paralyzed from the neck down, putting an end to his acting career and forcing him to rely on constant assistance. Known for his fearlessness and athletic skills, the accident completely changed the course of his life. During his early days as Superman while filming in England, Reeve began a 10-year relationship with modeling executive Gay Exton. Their relationship had its fair share of ups and downs, but Reeve stood by her side when he found out she was expecting. Their son, Matthew Exton Reeve, was born in December 1979, followed by their daughter Alexandra in December 1983. Both kids were born in London, but by February 1987, Reeve and Exton had parted ways amicably. They agreed on joint custody of their children, and Reeve returned to New York, ready to start a new chapter in his life. In June 1987, Christopher Reeve met Dana Morosini, a talented singer and actress, while watching her perform at the Williamstown Theater Festival. By 1991, they had moved in together, but Reeve struggled with the idea of marriage. His parents' painful divorce and other failed marriages in his family left him hesitant about making that commitment. At one point, their relationship nearly ended, but Reeve decided to go through therapy to confront his fears. Then, during a spontaneous dinner moment, he proposed to Dana. The couple tied the knot in April 1992 in a beautiful outdoor ceremony on a farm in South Williamstown, Massachusetts. Just a couple of months later, they welcomed their son, William Elliott "Will" Reeve, on June 7, 1992. Tragically, Will was not even 3 years old when the horse riding accident in 1995 left his father paralyzed. Reeve's love for horse riding began back in 1985 while preparing for his role in Anna Karenina. At first, he struggled with severe allergies to horses and needed antihistamines just to be around them. But over time, he overcame the allergy, and horseback riding became a source of immense happiness, eventually playing a major role in his life, both for better and, unfortunately, for worse. By 1989, Christopher Reeve had taken up eventing, a demanding equestrian sport that combines dressage, cross-country, and show jumping. Sadly, it was this very sport that would lead to the tragic accident that changed his life in 1995. Reeve's history with horses wasn't without its warnings. As a teenager, he sustained leg injuries while skiing, and in 1987, a horse riding accident left him with 3 broken ribs. During a Tonight Show appearance that same year, he even joked about his mishaps, unaware they were hints of a far more serious incident to come. In 1994, while filming Village of the Damned, Reeve bought a 12-year-old American thoroughbred named Eastern Express, affectionately nicknamed Buck. For nearly a year, he trained with Buck, aiming to compete at the training level in 1995 and progress to the preliminary level by 1996. Initially, Reeve had planned to compete in an event in Vermont, but his coach persuaded him to attend the Commonwealth Dressage and Combined Training Association finals at Commonwealth Park in Culpeper, Virginia. Reeve excelled in the dressage event, securing 4th place out of 27 competitors. While walking the cross-country course, he noticed a few challenging jumps, but the third, a modest routine 3'3" fence shaped like a W, didn't seem particularly concerning at the time. On May 27, 1995, Christopher Reeve's life changed in an instant. As his horse, Buck, approached the third jump, it suddenly balked, stopping abruptly and sending Reeve flying forward. His hands got tangled in the reins, pulling off the horse's bridle and bite. Reeve was thrown headfirst over the fence. Even though he was wearing a helmet and a protective vest, the impact was catastrophic, shattering his first and second cervical vertebrae. He was instantly paralyzed from the neck down, and his breathing came to a complete stop. Paramedics arrived within minutes, performing life-saving measures to restore his breathing. Reeve was first taken to a local hospital before being airlifted to the University of Virginia Medical Center. He retained no memory of the accident, and for 5 days remained heavily medicated and delirious. When he finally regained full consciousness, his doctor delivered the devastating news. The injury had destroyed 2 critical vertebrae and severely damaged his spinal cord. He was paralyzed from the neck down and would need a ventilator to breathe. Hearing this prognosis plunged Reeve into despair. He felt his life was over and feared becoming a burden to his family. Overwhelmed, he mouthed to his wife, Dana, "Maybe we should let me go." Dana's response was both tender and resolute. Through tears, she assured him that she would support any decision he made, but she reminded him, "You're still you, and I love you." In an effort to bring some comfort, she added, "If you still feel the same way in 2 years, we can talk about it again." Her words struck a chord. With the unwavering support of his loved ones, including his children, Reeve agreed to undergo surgery and treatment for pneumonia. He never entertained the thought of euthanasia again. The road to recovery was grueling, filled with both physical pain and emotional struggles, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter in Reeve's life. In the ICU, nights were long and lonely for Christopher Reeve as he grappled with the harsh reality of his future. One of his darkest moments came in June 1995, just before a risky surgery to stabilize his spine, a procedure with only a 50% chance of survival. As he lay preparing for the operation, the room's door suddenly burst open. In rushed a man wearing a blue scrub hat and surgical gown, speaking with an exaggerated Russian accent. "I am a proctologist," the man declared, "and I will be performing a rectal exam." It was Robin Williams, fully in character from his role in 9 Months. For the first time since the accident, Reeve laughed, a deep, heartfelt laugh that brought a spark of hope. In his autobiography, Still Me, Reeve later reflected, "My old friend helped me know that somehow I was going to be okay." The surgery was performed by Dr. John A. Jane, who used wires and a bone graft from Reeve's hip to stabilize his neck vertebrae. A titanium pin was placed, and the vertebrae were fused to his skull to secure his spinal column. The operation was a success, but the journey ahead was daunting. Reeve spent a month in the hospital before moving to the Kessler Rehabilitation Center in West Orange, New Jersey, where he stayed for 5 months. At Kessler, he learned to use a sip and puff electric wheelchair, which allowed him to move by blowing into a straw. Adjusting to his new life was incredibly difficult. Simple tasks like sitting in a wheelchair or taking a shower felt overwhelming at first. But as the days passed, Reeve began forming close bonds with the Kessler staff and other patients. These connections helped him see himself as part of a larger disabled community. With time and determination, he started embracing the challenge of building a new kind of life, one filled with purpose and resilience. In the months following his accident, Christopher Reeve relied completely on a ventilator, connected via a tracheostomy tube to help him breathe. But with intense therapy and sheer determination, he eventually managed to breathe on his own for short periods, up to 90 minutes at a time. Reeve threw himself into a rigorous exercise routine, dedicating 4 to 5 hours every day to workouts. He used machines designed to stimulate his muscles, which helped prevent atrophy and osteoporosis. Driven by hope, he firmly believed that consistent and intensive physical therapy could help regenerate his nervous system. His dedication started to pay off in remarkable ways. By 2000, Reeve had regained some movement in his fingers. Just 2 years later, he could sense hot and cold sensations across 65% of his body. His doctors were amazed by his progress, crediting his extraordinary discipline and unwavering commitment to his rehabilitation as key factors in his recovery journey. In December 1995, Christopher Reeve returned to his home in Pound Ridge, New York. 2 years after the life-changing accident, he expressed a renewed appreciation for life, saying he was glad to be alive, not out of obligation to others, but because he had rediscovered meaning and purpose. Although he required round-the-clock care from a team of 10 nurses and aides, Reeve resolved to make the most of his circumstances. Initially devastated, Reeve's determination grew stronger with time. He channeled his energy into activism, writing, filmmaking, public speaking, and fatherhood. By 1998, he reflected in an interview, "Who knows why an accident happens? The key is what you do afterward. There is a period of shock and then grieving with confusion and loss. After that, you have 2 choices. One is to stare out the window and gradually disintegrate, and the other is to mobilize and use all your resources, whatever they may be, to do something positive. That is the road I have taken." Though many encouraged him to turn to prayer, Reeve did not find comfort in religion. In his writing, he admitted, "I wondered what was wrong with me. I had broken my neck and become paralyzed, possibly forever, but still hadn't found God." Instead, he focused on leading a meaningful life despite his limitations. Amazingly, Reeve's acting career continued after the accident. In an almost prophetic twist, shortly before his injury, he had portrayed a paralyzed police officer in the HBO movie Above Suspicion. His preparation for the role had involved time in a rehabilitation hospital, learning about the realities of living with paralysis. Tragically, just a week after the film premiered, Reeve faced the same fate as his character. While Reeve had been cast in leading roles for Kidnapped and Tell Me True, both projects were canceled due to his injury. Nevertheless, his career was far from over. In 1996, just 1 year after his paralysis, Christopher Reeve achieved a remarkable feat by winning an Emmy Award for Outstanding Informational Special for his narration of the HBO film Without Pity, a film about abilities. His voice became a powerful tool to shed light on the lives of people with disabilities. In 1997, Reeve made his directorial debut with the HBO film In the Gloaming, which featured a star-studded cast including Robert Sean Leonard, Glenn Close, Whoopi Goldberg, and Bridget Fonda. The film was a critical success, winning 4 Cable Ace Awards and earning 5 Emmy nominations, including one for Outstanding Director for a miniseries or special. Reeve's resilience and dedication to his craft were nothing short of extraordinary. He not only defied expectations but thrived, turning his personal tragedy into a story of hope and perseverance and inspiring others to push beyond their limits. While Christopher Reeve remained active in acting, he also became an ardent activist, using his visibility to advocate for those with spinal cord injuries. After leaving the Kessler Rehabilitation Center in 1995, Reeve felt deeply inspired by the other patients he had met. Recognizing the media attention he was receiving, he decided to use his platform to raise awareness about spinal cord injuries and the challenges faced by people with disabilities. In 1996, Reeve hosted the Paralympics in Atlanta and gave a speech at the Democratic National Convention. He traveled across the United States delivering speeches to further his cause. His advocacy earned him a place on the cover of Time magazine on August 26, 1996. One of Reeve's first major efforts to change disability legislation was his support for a 1997 bill aimed at raising the lifetime insurance cap from $1 million to $10 million per person. For those catastrophically injured, the $1 million cap often ran out within a few years, leaving individuals without adequate financial support. Though the bill faced a narrow defeat, Reeve remained undeterred. In 1999, he supported the Work Incentives Improvement Act, which allowed people with disabilities to continue receiving benefits even if they returned to work. This time, the bill passed. Reeve also served on the boards of several organizations focused on improving the quality of life for people with disabilities, including the American Paralysis Association, where he served as chairman, and the National Organization on Disability, where he was vice chairman. Together with Joan Irvin Smith, Reeve co-founded the Reeve Irvine Research Center, which is now one of the leading spinal cord research centers in the world. In 1999, the American Paralysis Association merged with another foundation Reeve had founded to form the Christopher Reeve Foundation. This foundation's mission is to accelerate spinal cord research and to provide grants to improve the lives of people with disabilities. Through his relentless advocacy and vision, Reeve made an indelible mark on the disability community, pushing for legislative change and funding vital research. The Christopher Reeve Foundation has made a profound impact, contributing more than $65 million to spinal cord research and over $8.5 million in quality-of-life grants. UC Irvine acknowledged Reeve's remarkable contributions, stating, "In the years following his injury, Christopher did more to promote research on spinal cord injury and other neurological disorders than any other person before or since." Throughout these pivotal moments, Will Reeve, Christopher's son, struggled to fully grasp the extent of what had happened to his father. However, his half-siblings, Matthew and Alexandra, understood the gravity of the situation more deeply. Will grew up with the understanding that his father was disabled and accepted and loved him for who he was. He shared a passion for sports with his father, including hockey, a sport that Christopher watched with pride. After living an inspiring life in a wheelchair, Christopher Reeve passed away from heart failure in 2004 at the age of 52. Despite the challenges he faced, including a long-standing allergy to horses and health issues since childhood, Reeve made a lasting impact on those around him. From a young age, Reeve struggled with alopecia areata, a condition that causes patches of hair loss. While he managed the condition for many years, it worsened during the filming of the third and fourth Superman movies, requiring him to wear a wig. After his paralysis, the alopecia became more prominent, and Reeve eventually chose to shave his head. Throughout his life, Reeve also suffered from severe allergic reactions to medications. While at the Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation, he took an experimental drug intended to minimize spinal cord damage. Unfortunately, this drug triggered a life-threatening anaphylactic shock, causing his heart to stop. Reeve recounted the experience in his autobiography, describing an out-of-body experience in which he saw himself lying motionless while medical staff worked to save him. "The noise and commotion grew quieter as though someone were gradually turning down the volume," he wrote. Fortunately, a dose of epinephrine revived him, and he was stabilized later that night. Reeve's strength and resilience, even in the face of such adversity, continue to serve as an inspiration to many. In early October 2004, Christopher Reeve was being treated for an infected pressure ulcer that led to sepsis, a dangerous condition he had faced multiple times before. On October 4th, he made what would be his final public appearance at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, where he spoke with passion about the progress in research and treatment for spinal cord injuries. A few days later, on October 9th, he attended his son Will's hockey game. Later that night, after receiving an antibiotic for his infection, Reeve went into cardiac arrest and fell into a coma. Despite the medical team's efforts, he passed away 18 hours later on October 10, 2004. Though no autopsy was performed, both his wife, Dana, and his doctor, John McDonald, believed that an adverse reaction to the antibiotic played a significant role in his death. Reeve's passing marked the end of an extraordinary life, one filled with triumphs, challenges, and a tireless commitment to improving the lives of those with disabilities. At the time of his father's death, Will Reeve was just 11 years old. The family was still mourning the loss of Christopher when an even greater tragedy struck. Will's mother, Dana Reeve, who had devoted herself to caring for her husband while also being a phenomenal mother to Will, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer despite never having smoked. Dana had planned a return to singing, but a persistent cough had disrupted her rehearsals. That cough turned out to be the result of advanced lung cancer, and Dana didn't survive it. Just 17 months after Christopher's death, Dana tragically passed away in March 2006, leaving Will an orphan at just 13 years old. At that moment, Will was left with a profound sense of loss, a feeling that no words could capture. At 32 years old, Will Reeve reflected on the loss of both his parents, expressing his deep sense of solitude. "That's when I realized I was completely alone," he shared, marking a poignant moment in his life. Now Will, along with his siblings Matthew, 44, and Alexandra, 40, have come together to honor their father's life and legacy in the eye-opening new documentary, Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story. This film showcases the remarkable journey of their dad, best known for his iconic portrayal of Superman in the 1970s and 80s, and ensures that his life and impact continue to inspire others. From his early days as a promising actor at Juilliard to his groundbreaking work as a director and activist, Christopher Reeve's life was defined by resilience and a profound impact. While his portrayal of Superman made him a hero in the eyes of many, it was how he faced life after his fall from a horse in 1995, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down, that made the deepest impression on his children. Heroism is so much more than superficial strength and a glossy image, Will Reeve reflected on his father's legacy. It's about integrity, showing up for your family, persevering through hard circumstances, and still having that joy for life. That was our dad. In an emotional moment shared during an interview on Good Morning America, Will recalled his final goodbye to his father. "I told him that I loved him. I would do whatever I could to make him proud." Alexandra too recalled the powerful final moments, describing how Dana, their mother, repeatedly shouted, "I love you," as she made sure Christopher could hear her. Will opened up about the loss of both of his parents, particularly his mother's death in 2006 when he was just 13. "That was the moment. I've been alone since then," he said in the documentary. Despite the deep grief, he found solace in the community around him. "I moved in with our beloved neighbors who were our best friends," he explained. "And that's been such an unlikely, amazing experience for almost 20 years. Will expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support from his family, neighbors, and friends, acknowledging the unwavering help he received from his maternal grandparents, Charles and Helen Marini. Though Will admitted there are days when anger surfaces, he remains overwhelmingly grateful for the tight-knit community that rallied around him, making a difficult journey a little easier. "We were fortunate enough to live in a tight-knit community," he said. "People from the past and present chipped in however they could. In that short window of time, I got with my parents. They raised me in a normal, human, grounded way, which mostly gives me a sane approach to everything that life throws at you," Will Reeve says, flashing a smile that instantly reminds people of his father. Growing up, he was especially close to his mother, who, while tirelessly caring for her husband, would often take Will to endless playdates and sporting events. "The pain of losing her was profound. Sometimes I handle things well, and sometimes four-letter words exist for a reason," Will admits. In the years following their father's passing, Will and his siblings have worked tirelessly to honor his legacy, ensuring that his contributions and his life are remembered. Will expressed his pride in the project during a Good Morning America appearance, telling Robin Roberts, "There's a universal story in here. It's not about a famous person. It's about a family. It's a human story. We had human parents who did superhuman things." The new film provides a rare behind-the-scenes look at Christopher Reeve's life, delving into his complicated relationship with his father, his departure from partner Gay Exton, with whom he had his first two children, and the sacrifices Dana made to keep the family together following Christopher's accident. During a previous Good Morning America segment, Will shared an emotional excerpt from one of his mother's journals. The entry revealed her grief after losing Christopher in 2004. Will read aloud, "I've been studying the difference between solitude and loneliness. Tell the story of my life to the clean white towels, taken warm from the dryer and held to my chest, a sad substitute for a body pulled in close." Will explained that his mother found comfort in the warmth of towels straight from the dryer. He continued reading, "I miss most even now his hands, the expressive grace and heft of them. The heat of his hands on my skin, the wrap of his arms, two becoming one. I carry the stack of towels upstairs, carefully cradling them so as not to let them tumble. Save one, still damp. The top one I had pressed against my face, which needs more time for drying." After finishing, Will quietly reflected, "That's what she was enduring." The rawness of the entry gives a glimpse into the profound grief Dana experienced after losing her husband. Will Reeve shared that despite the overwhelming grief, he received an extraordinary amount of support from his family and friends. "I moved in with our beloved neighbors who were our best friends. And that's been such an unlikely, amazing experience for almost 20 years, he explained. His older half-siblings, Matthew and Alexandra, were always there for him, providing both sibling companionship and parental guidance. The Reeve children are excited to share glimpses of their father's private life, both before and after his accident, in the upcoming documentary Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. The film will be shown in select theaters on September 21st and again on September 25th, which would have been Reeve's 72nd birthday. Will, who was only a toddler when his father was injured, spoke fondly of his mother, Dana. "My mom was maybe the most special person to ever grace this earth. She had a unique combination of grace and beauty and compassion and grit and intelligence." He, along with his siblings, agreed that Dana was the glue that held their family together following Christopher's accident. The children also remember the first time they spoke to their father after his equestrian accident in 1995 that left him paralyzed. Alexandra, now 40 and a law practitioner, recalled how Dana prepared them before they visited Christopher in the hospital. "She walked us down and she said, 'It's going to look really scary, but he's still there. Just talk to him. Ignore everything else. Just talk to him.'" In one touching moment, Matthew recalled his last memory of his father on his feet before the accident. "We said goodbye, and he gave this wave. That was the last time I saw him on his feet." Will, who was just a toddler at the time of the accident, has gone on to become a journalist and activist. After interning at Good Morning America and graduating from Middlebury College, Will earned a position with ESPN SportsCenter and has been a correspondent for ABC News since 2018. Reflecting on his own experience, Will said, "I think in an effort to make sure that I wasn't terrified of my dad permanently, my mom made sure that I was involved as was reasonable. This included always being near his father and helping with tasks like lifting his legs, which was important for someone with a spinal cord injury." Although Will doesn't offer advice for those enduring similar tragedies, he firmly believes in the possibility of healing after loss. "There is healing," he said. Will Reeve, reflecting on his family's journey through grief and loss, shared a profound lesson. "Those 5 stages of grief are there, from denial to acceptance. But the 6th stage I've learned is healing, and we can all get there. Grief is permanent, but healing is possible." He continues to embrace this mantra, aiming to honor his parents through how he lives and treats others. The emotional trailer for the upcoming documentary, released by DC Studios on August 26th, offers a glimpse into Christopher Reeve's life, including intimate moments with his late wife, Dana. In one particularly moving segment, Christopher recalls how Dana's love gave him the strength to continue after his life-changing accident. He remembered his initial despair, thinking he might be a burden. "I ruined my life and everybody else's. I won't be able to ski, sail, or throw a ball to Will. Won't be able to make love to Dana. Maybe they should let me go." Dana's simple but powerful words, "You're still you, and I love you," helped him find his will to live again. Dana Reeve's role as a devoted caregiver is also highlighted in the documentary. She became a symbol of strength and compassion for caregivers around the world. In a heartfelt letter to fellow caregivers, shared on the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation's website, she wrote, "After my husband Christopher was injured, it became obvious that paralysis is a family issue. Taking care of our family's physical, emotional, social, and economic needs can be fulfilling and rewarding. But providing care to a person who is paralyzed is a job we don't always expect to get." When asked about the difficulty of revisiting such painful memories, Will Reeve explained, "Talking about my parents keeps them with me. I'm so proud to be their son and to be part of this family. To reintroduce my parents to people who loved them, and to show off my parents to a new generation who might not be familiar with their story. Honestly, it's just a privilege that we can carry them with us into this future that so needs heroes." Will's words remind us that, while reliving painful stories can be difficult, it is often through sharing these experiences that we keep our loved ones close and honor their legacies.